And I was just following the headlines, not really paying much attention. But as the frequency got as the news got more and more frequent, and of course, when this social movement, you call it revolution, I tend to call it social movement, when it spread to Egypt, and it got it was a sign that it was getting more and more serious. And I started to pay attention, and yes, from that point on, I was a bit surprised because I wasn't expecting the social movement to spread, this big, to becoming it becoming this big. Um, but I can say my perception for the region, for the regimes, for the countries there is like they're really stable, very static, unlikely to change, especially rapidly change. So definitely this social movement was surprise in that manner. So
Do you think that we suffer on some sort of lack of empathy? Do we just not care enough about these things?
yeah, you say you phrase it as lack of empathy, and yes, I realize that the point that you're phrasing it as lack of empathy. Okay, I get it. I realize there's some sort of aspect to that, like you say, but at the same time, it might be cold-blooded, international relations, realism in international relations. So, as I said, it's just for me. I really don't pay that much attention to the region because, you know, um, for example, the media in Turkey, some part of media, for example, tend to, frame it as if we have really strong, cultural connections, links with the region, and that sort of, rhetoric they're using. And this sort of rhetoric is also is being used by some politicians as well. B- I do not necessarily share that, point of view. I just tend to look at it from a realist point of view, and I know Turkey, some private sector, the construction industry in Turkey has huge, um, has huge investments, economic investments in Libya, for example, and we have lots of probably. I'm not really an expert on the issue, but probably we have lots of bilateral agreements, commercial agreements and that sort of stuff, and so we need to care about what is going on in the region, all right, but not necessarily through this cultural link rhetoric. Yeah, it's like it's being framed like our Muslim brothers there are rebelling against the dictatorship regimes. They're demanding democracy, and we should support them. We should give them all our support. Yeah, all right, that's one way of putting it. But at the same time, we have lots of economic national interests there, and we should see and examine both sides. The administration and the social movement leaders and executors and that sort of stuff, and we should analyze the situation in a realist manner. In this sort of social movements, you don't know which side is going to overcome which side. So it's like instead of emphasizing this cultural link, our Muslim, come on, I mean, all right, Turkey has a Muslim culture, and I'm not a believer myself, but I'm a subject in a Muslim culture. I mean, I was raised up in this culture, but I do not necessarily share that rhetoric's feelings. So really, our Muslim brothers, demanding democracy and that sort of, who, yeah, who cares about that? We should be, thinking about more. What are our investments in the region going to be? What are our relations with the administrations of these countries, of these regimes going to be? How should we act quote unquote rationally. How should we implement a rational policy or that sort of stuff? So, yes, I think I lack empathy with the social movement, executors, leaders, and people. But yeah, it's their world, it's their realm. They obviously they should have on one level. I think that they should be um, they should be living the way they want. So, but at the other, on another level, how is that going to affect our relations? And how is it going to change if it's going to change our relation, and that sort of stuff. I mean, that I have this cold-blooded, international relations realism in my mind. So I think that is sort of blocking me from having the empathy.
Another thing. Do you think that Turkey could serve as a role model for the
Yeah,
region? What do you think about that?
another hot discussion debate going on in the Turkish media right now, and there's these two opposing views. One is saying, yes, that's right, there are Muslim brothers, we have these cultural ties and everything, and we now it's the perfect time to emphasize us possibly being a role model for the region and everything. One side is, emphasizing this, and the other side is saying, oh, don't even bother that. Don't even bother make that comparison, because, almost all of the regimes in the, regions are like, and Turkey's regime, they're like in different leagues, totally different leagues. It's not really even, it won't even be a healthy comparison or something like that. I can't say Turkey has the best experience with democracy, and I can't say Turkish politics is the brightest, the shiniest place for democracy or whatever. But we are a democracy at the end of the day, right? I mean, structurally, and the culture. All right, the political culture in Turkey is not fully democratic yet. It's still in a really challenging transition period. But I think still the political climate as well as the regime cannot really be. It's not the best comparison to So I guess I stand on the latter view that Turkey being the role model for the region's regimes, or being the quote unquote big brother for the region and everything. Again, this is cold-blood realism. Turkey has some national economic interests in the region and has to maintain a really good relationship with the regimes, with the countries, with the administrations there, and that's it. That's it. They. We don't have to be a role model for them, to maintain those, relations. Plus, there is always the other thing that we have to consider, like international balance of power in international relations. Okay, Turkey is a significant actor, is a regional. From time to time, it can act like a regional actor, but there are more influential most of the time there are more influential actors than Turkey in the region. So there is this balance of power going on between these middle scale and big scale, big actors and middle scale actors or whatever. So that we should also keep that in mind. So using a rhetoric like we're going to be the role model, we're going to be the big brother of those regimes, like come on, that's really something big. Will you be able to really implement that sort of policy? Plus, is it a good policy? We should all really think in various aspects about this. So.